Hey, what's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome to Purple and Gold Bars. I'm your host, Supreme. It's time for the debut of my power rankings. I wanted to make one last week, but if I had, I would have ranked the Bears, Jets, Bucks, Ravens, and Packers more accurately than I saw on most power rankings because I have some strong opinion on those teams. I've broken up the teams into four categories because going through one by one outside of the top 12 has me feeling like, what's the point? So, for the teams ranked 13th and below, I'll be making a couple of points from the teams that I think need honorable mentions, as well as generic observations that I feel describe the majority of the teams in those brackets. So, let's start with the basement. The basements are the teams that I feel have the most to work on. They have the most holes to fill on their roster before they can move into that mid-tier bracket. Teams in this bracket can be dysfunctional, they could be rebuilding, they could be in the thick of dealing with growing pains, or super young and a massive work in progress. The basement is made up of teams ranked 23rd to 32nd. No shade to these teams. It is what it is. Honorable mentions in this bracket are the Bears for having all the talent in the world to climb out of the basement this season, the Colts for some wildly entertaining football this week, and the Patriots for reminding everyone that they didn't completely fall off. I look forward to great things from teams in this bracket this season and in seasons to come. These are in no particular order, as I feel that all these teams are interchangeable. Pause for a moment if you want to take a closer look, and while you're at it, leave a comment letting me know if you agree. The next tier is the mid tier that makes up of teams ranked 13th to 22nd. In my opinion, all these teams are very similar and can take over a game when all goes according to plan. Similar to the basement, I feel like an argument can be made for each team to be at the top of this bracket. Not a bad place to be. These teams have just a few pieces missing or are still working out the kinks to be more consistent and deserving of a top 12 spot. Honorable mentions in this bracket go to the Steelers for getting a win when almost no one thought they could, the Chargers for coming out with a different style football than we are accustomed to, and I'm happy to report that the Harbaugh era seems to be off to a great start. Lastly, I want to highlight my Vikings. Before the season started, I had them at the top of the basement. I feel like the Vikings were way better than any team in this bracket and would be easily able to handle them. The teams in the mid tier, I felt we could be competitive with and could win hard fought games against them. And as for the top 12 teams, I felt like the Vikings have the talent and discipline to steal a game from them if all goes well. I feel like that because of my concerns at the QB position, despite outlining in my video reasons why I believe Sam can have a great year. Good teams win versus bad teams like we won this week. And that's why I have him at 22nd, wanting more. But I hope that this season progresses so we can climb much closer to the top 12. This brings us to the top 12 teams in the NFL. I have them split into the top 3 and then 4th through 12th. I do this because I feel positions 4 through 12 are interchangeable and multiple arguments can be made for each team. Now, these I did rank in order that I feel is the closest to reality. Honorable mentions in this bracket go to the Bucks and the Cowboys for their dominant performances, as well as the Saints, because like my Vikings, the way they beat a bad team had me feeling like they jumped from mid-tier to the top 12. I did put the Bucks ahead of the Cowboys because I do admittedly believe more in Baker Mayfield than I do the Cowboys organization. To me, the Cowboys are like the gatekeepers of the tippity top. If you can't beat them, you have no reason to be pushing for Super Bowls. That leaves us with the cream of the crop, the absolute best teams in the NFL. Again, these teams are interchangeable, and I don't think many would argue or be upset. At number 3, I have the 49ers. At number 2, I have the Lions. And at number one, the Chiefs. The reason the Chiefs get the nod for me is because they have championship pedigree. End of story. As for the Lions and 49ers, I feel like this year they are basically the same team. They are both stacked everywhere on their teams and are still trying to solve the Rubik's Cube that is getting to and winning the Super Bowl. There you have it. Those are my power rankings. I'm sure a lot will change this year as more games are played, but for this week, this is it. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my assessments and what your top 12 looks like, as well as who you have picked to be a dark horse Super Bowl contender. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Viking content, and stay tuned for my Week 2 preview between the Vikings and 49ers later on today. Until next time, Skol Vikings!